Howdy y'all, my name is Press. I'm coming at you with some more Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. For today, we're going to do an Isaac run because I've actually just picked up this mod that you guys have been telling me about for a while, and I remember even asking about it because I saw it on someone else's thing, and then I completely forgot about it. And then one of you brought it back up in the comments the other day again. I was like, oh my god, I wanted to try that thing, and now it's a perfect chance to do so because we've got ourselves 1001%. We're done with all that kind of getting through that stuff, and so now we can kind of shift gears and have this be more focused on maybe kind of like educational Isaac learning about what each of the items do, how they affect your stats and whatnot. I think that'll be great for us. I've always loved my concept of Isaac Academy. And plus, you guys have really been taken to my little psychology lectures, and I'm glad that you guys have because I love just talking about that stuff with y'all. So we're going to do an Isaac hard mode run. On the left-hand side of the screen, you should now see a whole bunch of stuff that you're not familiar with. It's really cool. So this mod is called Missing HUD 2. If you Google that, you'll be able to find it. And if I remember to, I'll try and put a link in the description for it so you guys can check it out yourself. It doesn't mess with your Steam stuff. It doesn't mess with your ability to get achievements. And it just is an overlay. So you should even, apparently, according to the site, you can even use it on like daily runs and everything like that, and it still works. So let's quickly run down what each of these stats represents. So the top one is a little boot. That is your speed. The bow and arrow right there, the 23.75, that is our range. The 10 right there, that is our tier rate. Okay, we're at a 10. And the one right there with kind of like the ball with the movement lines on it, that's the shot speed. So we're at a 1 on our shot speed. We have 3.5 on the damage. We have 0 luck and 0% devil and angel chance. Those are the stats that it's going to track. So every time we pick up an item, we're going to see how that influences those things. And every time we get, say, like a devil card effect or anything like that, we can see in real time how that's going to affect our stats. I'm really excited for this because back on the original Isaac, I had looked into and became intimately aware of all of the different actual stat values of each of the new items. But because I've been learning so much through Rebirth and Afterbirth, since they've added so much stuff, I still haven't quite gotten to the point where I understand fully each of the stat changes that occurs when you pick up each of these items. And I'm also realizing, this always happens as I get a little bit into an Isaac run, I go like, oh yeah, my coffee is not fully kicked in yet because I'm not as focused in on this as I would like to be. But that's okay. That's okay. So, beyond that, beyond us being able to talk a little bit more at length about the stats of the specific items and how they affect things, we also have a whole bunch of psychology-related stuff to talk about. So, one quick thing that I would like to talk about. I almost threaded that like a champ. These damn spiders. Is Biff Manley brought up in the comments Freud and his dislike of Freud. And many psychologists will agree with you on that because a lot of people give Freud... they talk about him a little bit more than he maybe deserves as being kind of the center of psychology. I will say this, though. We all in psychology recognize that Freud provided great value to the field in one of his findings. So let's just break down Freud in general and why we dislike Freud, but also why we really like Freud. So, Freud had his psychosexual theory of psychology and essentially believed that everything that we do is based off of these psychological urges and drives and things, and also our competing primal urges with our societal requirements. So you have this concept of the id, ego, and superego, all right, that are always battling it out in your brain subconsciously, and that's going to be important, and that's what we'll bring up in a second. But the id, he called this id thing, is supposed to be your base primal desires, urges, all the stuff you want to do, any bad thing you've ever wanted to maybe do, that's your id talking, okay? Then you've got your superego. Your superego is kind of like your view of what everyone else in the world wants you to do. Your view of what the perfect you would be. The nicest, best, most kind, gentle, awesome, best person you could be. Okay? So as a result, your id and your superego are constantly battling for control of you, the ego. All right? The ego is you. That's what comes out, okay? So the ego is kind of your conscious expression of your subconscious id and superego competing over these primal urges and desires. And he believed that all this stuff was basically sexual in nature. Oh, we're going to take the mind. So this isn't going to affect our stats at all, I don't think. Yeah, no stat changes, but the mind is a great first floor pickup for sure. Give us an item. All right, that's all right. Well, we'll take them because I don't want to come back in here. Oh, and we now know where our secret room is, which is great. We don't have enough money. Oh my gosh, we got ourselves a ton of spirit hearts. I'll just go ahead and take them now. We don't have a ton of money, so going to the shop might not be the best idea unless we get some money in here. So let's check it out. Let's check it out. Another battery. We got tons of batteries. So if our item is not great from our boss, then we can definitely re-roll it several times. So that's cool. Okay, so Freud. Is it here? Not with these. So he had this concept, and it was all, like I said, based on kind of sexuality, this concept of, I mean, it's so ridiculous now, but the Oedipus and Electra complexes that women have penis envy and men have envy of femininity, and everyone wants to have sex with their parents, essentially, like their opposite sex parent. Obviously, this doesn't account for, I mean, even beyond it being fairly ridiculous, it doesn't even take into consideration the possibility of people not being heterosexual. And so there's all kinds of things wrong with it just on the surface, like it's clear to us. At the time, it made a lot of sense. It fit with kind of their views of the world and how things worked, and also it fit with the very, very young field. We're going to take this. It fit with the very, very young field of psychology at the time. So we're going to take this. So let's just look over at our stats right now, see what the big change is. All right, and it even gives us, that's awesome. It gives us a readout and tells us what changed. We got a plus 5.25 to our range, and we got a plus 0.16 to our shot speed. Very cool. Oh my God, this is, you guys, I'm so excited about this. Okay, very cool. So, Freud. That's the bad stuff. Oh, so now we have a 36%, an increased 36% devil deal chance going into this floor. Now we have 100% because we are now on the basement 2 and we haven't had a devil deal on the previous floors, so that's where we're at. Very cool. Let's go down this way first. And it looks like if we get ourselves another bomb, we're going to actually be able to get into our... damn it. It's fine, though. We have plenty of spirit hearts. We're going to... Oh, but we got a key as well. I was going to say we could bomb our way into our item room, but we don't have to now. Okay, so what did Freud do that was good, though? He came up with the concept of the unconscious and the subconscious. These are things that people didn't believe in, understand, have a concept for before Freud. Now think about that. The idea that it used to be believed that every single thought, behavior, action, everything that you took was conscious and deliberate. You did it on purpose. Yeah, I don't really want that. That's Taurus, I believe. And it's not my cup of tea right now. RoboBabby 2.0 is also not my cup of tea right now. But we should be able to get another charge, I think so. So we'll wait on that. Let's make our way to our boss. Oh, boy. Oh, don't do that. Whew. Here's what we do. It's going to be slow, but we're going to put this into position so we can get our secret room open for free. So he came up with the idea of the subconscious and the unconscious. He also essentially invented talk therapy, psychoanalysis, essentially talking through your problems. Hopefully we're in a good position. Yeah, I figured we would be. A battery. Very cool. And so a lot of modern therapeutic techniques would not exist if it weren't for Freud's invention of that type of therapy. And so that's why, while he definitely deserves the bad rap to some degree, I shouldn't have picked up that battery. Let's keep going. I'm sitting here, I realize I don't actually have enough rooms to do this, and I want to make sure I have a charge for our devil deal before anything else. So Freud brought those two things out. So those are really, really important. The idea that, A, many of your thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, all these kinds of things happen without you even thinking about it, right? It happens subconsciously. we oftentimes are not acting under our own desires, but in fact there could be other things behind the scenes running that, right? That's the whole concept of the id and the superego, is that you have these competing desires and drives and ideas. That's not entirely wrong. Just his belief that all of that was sexually driven, and from this whole Oedipal, this Oedipus Electra complex place, like I said, that you either want to have intercourse with one of your parents, right? It's a nonsense concept nowadays as like being a standard part of psychology. We will wait on that tinted rock because there's a secret room that we could also get to. Actually, you know what? I value tinted rocks more. Also, I know one of you down below commented that you hate that we call them tinted rocks, and you blame Northern Lion for it. I get it. There's nowhere in the game that says that they're called tinted rocks, but when something becomes so colloquially known, there's no point not using that term. Like unless Edmund has come out with some competing official term, I don't see why any one term is better than another. Call it what you want, but it's still the thing. We all know what we're talking about here. Cool, and we got a bomb. So that's my take on Freud, right? He added some very important things to the field that we wouldn't have if he had not been around. He's considered one of the kind of fathers of psychology because he was one of the earliest. Ooh, we save that. We come and grab that after our devil deal. That's basically that. So he definitely deserves some criticism, but not all, like absolute criticism. That's why we still talk about him. He added one of the most crucial components of psychology, which is the idea that your brain does stuff without you wanting it to, I guess. It's not all under your control. There's a lot of subconscious stuff going on. Okay, get away. So I have a little list here of the topics that you guys brought up in the comments that I will go through here in a second. After I finish Little Horn, I want to focus here, and we'll talk about some items and stats and things like that before moving on. But I'm really digging this idea of us maybe just doing, kind of like Isaac or Eden or Samson runs with the heads-up display and just talking about psychology and talking about items and what they do. Okay, so now our Devil Deal chance, as you see, has gone way down, and our Angel Deal chance has gone back up. We're now at kind of like the default level, and that's because we got a Devil Deal. So now you understand, like, that's what happens. Once you get a Devil Deal, that's when it resets your Devil Deal chance. And you'll notice that each consecutive floor we go on, our Devil chance is going to start going up and up and up. And you'll see that our Angel chance will hit 0 as soon as we take a Devil Deal. So we're probably going to take the coat hanger. It's a great item. Oh, and we got ourselves another Guppy item, and we got ourselves Incubus, which is great. We're going to take both of these. So I will take Guppy's Collar. So now, as you see, we have a 0% chance of an Angel Deal, but we have an increased Devil chance, okay? And we're going to pick up Incubus. All right, very cool. I dig Incubus. Neither of those affected our stats in any way. I could have re-rolled Incubus, maybe, but he's essentially like getting a damage doubler. So like I don't see why we would. And so we're also going to take the coat hanger. So let's see what that does to our stats. It's all tiers up. So it said -3. Oh, so that's how the tier stat works. So the lower it is, the better. All right, so we got a -3 to our tiers. So that must be the interval, like the number of frames between another tier going out. So as you can see, our tier rate is much faster. Very cool, very interesting. I did not know that that's how they did that. I would need to... Oh, you know what? There is a stat that I could change. Let me click something over here. Hopefully this doesn't break things. Did that do anything? It didn't, so maybe I'd have to restart it. There's a stat for tiers fired. All right. Either way, okay. So now our tier rate is much faster. Let us continue working. And what did we have in our... That's right, we need to go pick up 9 lives. For sure. And then we can go re-roll Robo-Babby, and that'll be great. And how much money do we have? We still have only 5. So... It's kind of but we're one step away from Guppy. We got a really nice tier rate. We're pretty good. And Incubus essentially gives us a double damage. So that's pretty great. We have no bomb, so I can't get this chest, which is too bad. We're going to re-roll you. Oh, really? Well, we can get this chest. Goodness. That's lame. We really should have just taken... I forget what the first item was, but my goodness, it just got worse and worse. Well, I'll take you. We can go look in our shop. It's possible there's a battery for sale. No, there is a red card, though. Maybe we want the red card. Let's try it. Card Against Humanity. Could be really good. Let's go into that big room. Let's use it. And while we do that, I can talk about a couple of other topics. Oh, we still have a curse room to go into. I didn't even realize. Well, we're definitely going to do that. All right, let's use our Card Against Humanity in here. And essentially try and get Petrified Poop and get ourselves a ton of money and other kinds of pickups. That's essentially why you do Cards Against Humanity. I could see you not wanting to if you really wanted to get to Boss Rush or whatever, but I'm in no hurry, all right? I'm cool with us taking our time while we try and go overpowered on this. Incubus is helping us make light work of this, and even though we don't have the Petrified Poop, we're still getting tons of money because it's a huge room. All right, so other topics you guys brought up. Oh, here we go, Petrified Poop. Now all of a sudden stuff's going to get crazy. And I think we'll leave Petrified Poop here because we're probably going to get up to 99 cents with this now. And we will take Judas's tongue with us as well down to the next floor. Okay, so one topic that one of you guys brought up that I thought was a very interesting one was the topic of disability. And I find this one interesting mostly because, you know, this is not just a psychology issue. There's disabilities of all sorts, congenital disorders and whatnot that are mostly due to genetics and physiology and whatnot. But there are a lot of psychological disorders that could be interesting to talk about. And you brought up a couple specifically that you were interested in. I thought we could talk through some of those because I do know about some of those. So the ones that you brought up in your comments, sorry for not remembering for writing down your name. I just realized I should have written that down for the question. But if y'all go and check the comments of the previous Isaac episode, y'all see who it was. The disabilities in particular that you were interested in, things like color blindness, blindness, deafness, those are ones that I know fairly well because of, oh, we just got a luck up. It was a +1 to our luck for getting the luck up coin. That's pretty awesome. So I'll probably talk about those. There are others that I could speak mainly or like basically to, but I'll just generally cover kind of what can go on that can lead you to have a disability, because I mean it really is. There's essentially when we look at this stuff, it essentially comes down to really at any stage in your lifespan, you can develop a disability from external or internal sources. Not to say you should always be worried that, oh my gosh, I'm all of a sudden going to have some disability, but more specifically that you, it's definitely, it can come from any direction, right? So, you know, for example, someone who is paraplegic, say, or someone, let's say someone who's maybe missing limbs, okay? That can be due to a physical event, right? An accident, some kind of event like that. Wow, we only got to donate 1 coin. That sucks. Well, we'll buy everything in here. Oh, can't even. Well, we'll buy the pill and just check it out. Okay, that kind of sucks. It's not really a big deal. All right. So it can happen from an accident. It can happen congenitally. So you can have something that happens in utero. So while you are still in the womb, things, we call them teratogens. So negative environmental factors can influence your development. And so you can not properly develop limbs or arms or things like that. They're all different types of things that can lead to those types of events occurring. So that's just a general rule to consider. I wish I came in here first thing. My goodness. Am I willing to like lose a couple of blue hearts? I kind of am almost. We have some hearts on the ground too, but we're going to lose hearts regardless coming in here. So I'll go down like 3 blue hearts maybe. Give him a shot. What do you got for me? Hagalaz's Destruction. Okay. Come on, buddy. Give me something good. What do you got? Joker card is great. We will be taking that down to the next floor. And I'm going to go ahead and use the Wheel of Fortune here. Ooh. And we'll play this a little bit in hopes that we're going to get a couple more Spirit Hearts or other things. There's another Spirit Heart that we can pay. So that's the general thing to keep in mind. Like, disabilities can come from kind of any point along the line. And this is going to, why I'm saying this is also going to make a little bit more sense when I start talking about things like color blindness and deafness. Color blindness. Really, really interesting. There are different types of color blindness. There's not just one type of color blindness, and it has to do a lot with the way that our color system works. So I'm going to talk through how we have color vision, like how that works, and then from there we'll talk about how you can have issues that can lead to color blindness. Okay? I'll go down to about 50 cents, I think, on this. So the way that we have color vision, all right, or the way that we have vision in general, I guess I should start there, right? We have photosensitive, we call them photoreceptors, photosensitive neurons, essentially. Hey, that's cool. Too bad we didn't get a battery, otherwise I'd be able to re-roll that in here. It'd be nice. Come on, buddy. So we have these photoreceptive, essentially they're like neurons. Awesome, perfect. AWAS is passage, Hagalaz is destruction. Honestly, I kind of say we... Oh! Whoa. So Sinrobes gives you a very substantial damage up. That was huge. I never knew it was that big. That was like a full 1.25. I didn't even see what the number was because I wasn't looking over there, but that's a big stat up we got there. That's very cool. All right. Any of these cards that we want to use before we leave? Magician, stars. No, I think we're good. So this way I don't have to actually lose any health by leaving the room because I think we're pretty good. We picked up everything, right? What was in our... It was the... Yep, we got it all. Okay. We got Judas' Tongue, and we got our Joker card. Perfect! So, the way your vision works, we have these photosensitive receptor cells in our eyes, right? They essentially are like neurons, just like the way the rest of your brain works, in that they are these electrochemical receptors, and they're actually derived from the same types of cells as well. And the way that they work is when they come into contact with light, they release a chemical called, I believe it's called rhodopsin, or maybe that's the... I think it's rhodopsin is the actual sensitive protein. It changes shape. That causes an effect within the neuron, which causes an electrical impulse, which then gets passed on to the rest of the brain. That's where it gets translated into the language of the brain, essentially. So the way that we have color vision is very, very interesting. So in our eyes, we have two different types of photoreceptors. We have rods and we have cones. They're called this based on their shape. Rods are cylindrical in shape. Cones are conicular. I don't know. I don't know if that's a term, but conical. And they're shaped like cones. And so the rods are responsible for our high sensitivity vision, our vision in our peripheral, and our light and dark and high contrast vision. Okay, they're not sensitive to color. They are not. They don't provide the same types of what we call potentials as the cones. The cones are what do our color vision. I do not want Aries. Aries is ramming speed, so we will go get ourselves a charge. We will come back and we will reroll that. Actually, we'll go into our shop first as well because we can see what we got in there. So you have three different types of cones in your eye, all right? And so these cones have three different types of sensitivities, all right? They're sensitive to different wavelengths. Oh, this is awesome. Do we get... I don't know if we pick up car battery because I don't know how that affects re-rolling. And what my concern is that it will double re-roll something, which is not what I want. I may be wrong there. I'm not going to risk it here, so y'all tell me down below if you know. Does car battery double re-roll items with the D6? Because that just means you're going to tear through items. You're going to pull items out of the item pool more often than you want. So we're going to re-roll that, actually. Blue candle is an eh. But we do have a battery on the floor here. We're going to go through and we're going to try and get a natural battery, and then we'll maybe do some more re-rolling. But we do also want to re-roll our item room. I need to remember that. Yeah, I think it's more valuable to re-roll the item room. Right now, at least, I think that. I'm not sure if I actually fully agree with my statement as I said it out loud. So we got these three different types of cones. They're sensitive to different wavelengths of light. So light, electromagnetic energy, the type that we can see falls within a specific range. I believe the 450 to 675, 700 nanometer range. It might be all the way up to 7. I'd have to look at it again. It's definitely towards the 700 range. And within that range, that's the light that we can see, all right? Because that's what our photoreceptors are sensitive to. Now, the different cones that we have are sensitive to different specific areas within there. So you have what we call small, medium, or short, medium, and long cones because they are sensitive to short, medium, and long wavelength cones or nanometers of light. Okay, so the short cones are sensitive to short wavelengths of light, and thus they respond to light that falls within the 450-ish, I think actually it's probably closer to 475 nanometer range and around there. All right, but that's what they're peak sensitive to, is somewhere around like 475 nanometers. And that, when you see that color, all right, your perception of that color is something like blue. Okay, now we would never say, as psychology researchers, we never say that there is blue light, because blue light does not exist. Blue is your perception of light that falls within the 450 nanometer kind of wavelength range, that area of light. Okay, so but for colloquial reasons, for ease of use, it's okay to say this is blue light, this is red light. Okay, so you have medium cones. Those are sensitive to what we would call green, and that's kind of in the 560 nanometer range, maybe 530, maybe it's like the 530 nanometer range. So that's like kind of green is what we're talking about there. I'll re-roll this. I'll buy this battery. I will re-roll my item room. I'll grab a battery and we'll go fight our boss, and then we'll think about what to do with our last battery. What do you got for me? Doctor's remote, my goodness. Well, I mean, we can use it and we can go get into the super secret room. And then you have the long cones, and they're sensitive to what we would call red. And that's somewhere, like I said, around the 650 range. I'm a little rusty on it. It's been a while since I've looked at the specific numbers. We'll just blow this up. Judas's tongue versus... We'll take the left hand, because we're one guppy item away, so we really want to make that possible. We'll pick back up our D6, we'll grab our battery, and we'll head into the boss fight. So that's, in the most general terms, that's how we see color. All right, we have these three different sensitive cells in our eyes. There are three different types. They're all over your retina in different amounts. And those are what... Oh gosh, this curse of the maze, moving these batteries around. Those are what allow you to see color. Now, when you are colorblind, that error, that problem, can come from several different places. Let's blow that up. Okay, let's blow that up. Okay, just figured I'd get the extra damage, but oh man, we're shredding with this tier rate. So the color blindness then can happen in several different places, because it's not like your color perception. Ooh, that's a good item. So we'll definitely take pentagrams. So that should increase our devil chance and our damage. Yep, damage up 1.25, devil chance up 2.5%. I didn't see what that was. But we didn't get a devil deal on this floor, so I'm going to go ahead and use the Joker card now. And it's Infested Friend, which is a great item, so we are going to take it, even though I would like to reroll and get... a guppy item. Infested Friend is just, it's too hard to pass up. It's one that I can't pass up. Our tiers are awesome right now. All right, so let's re-roll our item room again. Odd Mushroom will take for sure. It's going to give us, a small speed down, a little bit of a range up, and a little bit of a damage up. And so that speed down, you see we got minus 0.1 there. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I love this mod, you guys. This is awesome. All right, let's go grab this battery in here. Again, we're going a little slow. My apologies, but part of that is my lecturing, and part of that is my loving this new HUD and just liking to really kind of focus on that stuff. Oh, it's so cool. Okay. So, just because your eye can detect color, okay, doesn't mean that you're still going to perceive that color, because that color information has to be processed. Oh, perfect. Moving on to the next floor with some awesome stuff. We're definitely not making it to Boss Rush or Hush, as y'all could definitely see. So, there could be damage along the neural pathway. Okay, wow, our Devil Deal chance is at minus 5%, but 72.5%. So, using the Joker card did not influence our Devil Deal chances. Good to know. Very good to know. Yes, I will blow you up, because we have BOGO bombs and Humbling Bundle. Oh, and we got increased chance by blowing up that guy. Increased devil chance. Very cool. Flat penny is a maybe. If we come into a room with a bunch of money, maybe we'll use that. Let's just kill all of y'all. Bliss? Bliss? Die bliss? So, one error that could occur that could lead to color blindness. Ooh, we're going to reroll that for sure. Cursed Eye is lame. All right, get out of here. I hate this Hush, by the way. I'd like to get Incubus up there if I can. Oh, God, I hate this Hush just because of his different moveset that I'm not used to yet. I forgot that we got an empty heart container. I should pick up a half a red heart. So beyond that, where could your color blindness stem from? First and foremost, you could have an error of the cones, okay? You could have, this is sometimes a genetic one, sometimes a congenital one where you have damage that leads to this. But either way, you could have an error of the cones. So basically where your eyes don't have the same cones as other people's, okay? You don't have all three cones. So that would be kind of a true color blindness. That would come from an error of coding the cones. So instead, maybe you only have short and medium cones, but you're missing long cones, okay? So that means that like your red sensitivity is low. You could have medium and long cones, and so then your short cones, since you don't have any, your short sensitivity is going to be very low. We need one more charge, and we can go re-roll that. So I'm actually going to go in here, so that'll give us a charge. Go ahead! Well then, is this just going to give us 100% devil chance? Is that what it's going to do? Yeah, it's just going to set it to 100% chance. That's awesome. Very cool. Okay, so now let's go re-roll Cursed Eye. So you can have an error of the cones, so where you have less cones, right? You could also just have less sensitive cones. So different people's cones are going to be different in terms of specifically what they are sensitive to, which nanometers they are. So your medium cones might be most sensitive to 535 nanometer wavelengths of light. Mine might be more sensitive to 540 nanometer wavelengths of light. Someone else's might be more sensitive to 520 nanometers of light. This might seem like a small difference, but the thing is because the way that we process color information is essentially by comparing the differences between our three cones, like that's what our brain does, is it takes the information from each of those three cones and goes like, okay, if it's this much red, this much blue, and this much green, that all adds up to, it must be, we're gonna say yellow is what that color is, okay? So because that's how our cones work, if instead of you having an error of the cones, you just have two cones that are very similar, so say your medium and long wavelength sensitivity cones are really close together, say one is like 540 and one is like 560, because now that I think about it, I think the long wavelength sensitivity cones are more close to like 570 or 580. Their maximum sensitivity is somewhere around 700, but their minimum is somewhere around that. Let's see, which is more valuable to reroll, this or the boss trap room? I'll reroll this just to get... Yeah, we'll take side bombs. Just to... So I don't have to come back out here is essentially what I was thinking. So those are two things that could lead to it, and those are essentially errors of the cones. You can also have errors in the brain. So you have areas of the brain that are tasked with processing properly that color information that you receive from your retinas. From those photoreceptors. So you could have perfectly working cones, but then you could have, say, a lesion, or you could have some kind of nerve severing, or just kind of like not fully developed areas of the brain for processing color. And so as a result, you're not going to properly process color. So you could also be colorblind there. So you could have an error in the brain that has nothing to do with your actual physical eye not being able to work, but in fact has to do with your color blindness in your brain, right? It's the brain that's having the issue. So one of the reasons that I bring up all these multiple different types of color blindness is because, and this goes for, again, this works for pretty much any kind of psychological, perceptual disorder. This works for kind of any, dang it, type of other types of disabilities as well, if they have multiple different potential sources of what leads to that disorder. You need to treat them differently, right? And so you can't have one treatment for color blindness and say this is going to treat everyone's color blindness, because something that fixes the problem in your eye isn't going to work for someone who has an error in their brain. Something that fixes the part that's in the brain isn't going to be helped by something that fixes the error in the eye. So that's why it's important to consider these from multiple angles like that. I will definitely trade 1 key for 2 bombs. We'll take Mask of Infamy. There is a battery charge in here, which is great. So we are going to go re-roll We're going to have enough rooms. We're not going to have enough rooms to get another natural charge, though. So that's too bad. But we are going to go re-roll the Cursed Eye, I think. We'll grab the battery and we'll take that into the boss fight with us and potentially use it for a devil deal. I'll take Stem Cells. That's fine. That'll do. Oh, and that gave us a small shot speed up. Didn't realize that. A plus 0.16 shot speed up. So cool. I love this mod. Oh, man, that's great. Oh, we also, I think we have a battery in our shop as well, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll wait on that if we need it. Now, so I brought that up for that reason. Now, some of you, if you're aware of color blindness, another potential source, and this is one I bring up just for... because it goes in line with what a lot of people know colloquially. Men are more likely, and by men, I should actually, I'll take that back. That was the wrong word to use. Males, okay? People who are who have the biological sex characteristics of a male, or more specifically, I guess, people who have one X and one Y chromosome. That's the most accurate way of saying what I'm trying to say. They are more likely to be colorblind, because the areas of our chromosomes that code for your cones, those cells, so the parts of your DNA that code for the cells that will eventually become your cones are located on the X chromosome. So as a result, people who have 2 X chromosomes, those that we, in biology, you refer to as female, they... have 2 X chromosomes, and so therefore, if they have a problem with one, they have a second X chromosome that their DNA can use in order to properly code for their cones. So they essentially have a redundant set. Well, heck yeah, we're going to take that. We're going to wait, though, and we'll grab it on our way back out. Oh, yes. We're going to be Guppy. This is great. It was all worth it. So what am I going to do then? I think what I'll do is I'll pick up Guppy's Paw. I'm not going to use it, and I will re-roll both of these. We will take that, and yeah, sure, why not? We'll take you as well, Demon Baby, because we're going to be getting a health up here anyways. We're going to grab you, and did we grab something from our... Yeah, we grabbed Stem Cells, so we're just going to go on to the next floor. Awesome. So I'm sorry I didn't talk about the stat ups over there, and I didn't see exactly what they were, but hopefully you guys did. But our damage went way up because we got a 1.5 damage multiplier from Magic Mush, if I'm not mistaken. Plus, we got a whole bunch of stat ups over there. So actually, I'm going to review this tape afterwards and see what exactly those were, because I'm really intrigued by those. Oh, I totally could have used my strength card to get something as well. Oh, well, maybe next floor. Okay, so it lies on the X chromosome, therefore it's more common for males than for females to have color blindness, and the rates definitely match that. I think it's like about 1 1/4 of males, maybe it's less, like 12%, something like that, and then a very small percentage for females. Again, I'm speaking biologically. I'm not talking about gender. Gender is different from sex, so just keep that in mind. I will do that a little bit. And as far as grabbing these, hopefully we'll get a black candle or something. Maybe a purity rune. Let's see what's in our secret room here. Okay, so that out of the way. When it comes to treatment of these things, the most common form of color blindness is actually that kind that I talked about that's not true color blindness, but is essentially your cones are so close together that you effectively are colorblind, right? You can barely tell the difference between these other colors. Why did I do that? So the reason I say that is because there's one treatment, and some of you, especially if you are colorblind out there, you've maybe seen these things. One treatment for that is a certain type of goggles, essentially. We've got Evil Eye. I don't really know how Evil Eye works. It's like every now and then it shoots out a tear that like does something on its own. I'm not sure. And I didn't see what the stat up was because I wasn't paying attention. But luckily you guys can, because you can look over on the left-hand side back when that happened and see if it affected my stats at all. there are these glasses that they essentially are. I guess I'm just so big that I keep hitting those things. Why did I do that either? I have full money. I'm making so many silly mistakes because I'm doing two things at once. Talking to y'all about psychology and also trying to play this game. It obviously makes me much slower. If you want Northern Lion speed, go over to Northern Lion's channel. I'm slow and steady. I'm the tortoise. I'll just go ahead and use some of these. Why not? Oh, a perks pill. That's great. Telepills. I didn't want that. That's fine, though. It's good to know it's in there. So there are these goggles that are supposed to treat... glasses that are supposed to treat color blindness. And they do for people who have the most common type of color blindness, which is that you have the different cones, they're so close together you can barely tell the difference. And so what these goggles do is they essentially polarize light that comes in at like specifically the kind of light that you have trouble discerning the difference between. So let's say you're bad at telling the difference between, what we colloquially would call green and red light. Then what would happen is that this would magnify the differences between those two types of light. So when light comes in, kind of if you ever worn like 3D glasses, the way that those work is they polarize light differently. So you have light that's operating on different wavelengths. Let's say even simpler than that. Let's say you have the like old school 3D glasses, right? So where you have one that's tinted red and one that's tinted blue. Those are essentially filtering out certain wavelengths of light to maximize the ability for you to detect wavelengths of light within that specific type. So what happens, we'll use it here because I'm not going to use it on another floor. I could have re-rolled it, I guess, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and fight war. It's going to be a quick fight. I'm not even worried about like anything. We're going to take the cube of meat. Will I grab these? I might as well, I think, So I'll grab you. Betrayal, sure. And I'll use the strength card. Yeah. And I will grab that as well. Dark matter, cool. I am cool with that. Wow, our head is huge. Look how big we are. Well, we got a stat down, though. Oh, because our strength card wore off. I was like, what's going on? All right. So, those glasses, essentially what they do is they operate by essentially maximizing your ability to see those specific wavelengths, and thus they give you a better ability to treat your color blindness. Now, if you have the other types of color blindness, ones where you don't, like where you only have two cones, or even you can be a monochrome where you only have one cone, or you can even have no cones and only have rods. And in that state, you have very blurry vision because you don't have cones. Give us kind of like very precise vision. That's what's mostly in the center of our retina. Wow, just showing up again, huh? Box of spiders is better. I'll use it once. So anyway, that treatment would not work for people with the kind of color blindness that has to do with having only two or only one or no cones, right? Because it's not their problem that they can't tell the difference between those types of light. It's their problem that they literally can't detect that many different types of light. Now, there is a really interesting treatment that is kind of in the works for color blindness. And I bring this up because there's a Radiolab episode where they talk about this a little bit. Still being worked on. But essentially, and it's been tested in chimps and it seems to work, you can give people kind of a shot that is kind of a genetic modification. All right? It gives you these new genes, essentially. It's gene therapy is what it is, essentially. That will slowly over time will allow your eyes to grow extra cones. Okay, it will essentially, for those people who are missing some cones, you could give them the properly coded genes from another person that has good vision, color vision, and they could, over time, develop the full set of cones. They would essentially eventually be able to fully see color. The other issue, hey, we will take you, Whore of Babylon. And then we'll think about taking that guy. I forget what that one does. But Whore of Babylon, since we're in, low stats, we're going to always have now the plus 1.9 damage and the plus 1.5 speed. Good stuff. We have a battery in here. Good to know. When will I use that is the question. We have a shop. we have, oh, the box of spiders. So we're going to get a natural reroll up here in a second. We'll go down, we'll reroll the box of spiders, we'll grab the battery, and we'll go fight our boss. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So, so that's a really cool and interesting treatment. Now, here's something that's really crazy about color blindness, and it's why, again, I like talking about these kinds of things because you realize that they are merely an extension of the natural range of human beings, okay? They show perfect examples of, there is a range of genetic possibility, and some of us, don't get the best set, and some people get an even better set, right? So it might seem unfair. That's just kind of how life works. It sucks, but it still does show that it is just a natural part of being people, all right? Being humans, being animals, essentially. So there are out there some people who have 4 cones. Remember how I said the way that we tell the difference between colors is by comparing the relative differences of 3 cones? There are some people out there, tetrachromats is one term for them, because tetra means 4. Most people are trichromats, right? Because they have 3 cones, 3 color vision. And there is a theory out there that these people who have 4 cones can actually see more colors than the rest of us. The problem is it's such a small percentage of the population that it's hard to know whether or not, I almost grabbed that, I don't need that. 2 of hearts, no thanks. We'll grab the battery, and I think we'll just fight our boss and move on from there. What was in here? Missing page? Nah, it's okay. Okay, these individuals, very, very small percentage of the population. So sometimes you may have heard of this before, but you've maybe heard 25% of women are tetrachromats. That's not true. The number is closer to 0.25% or maybe 1.25%. It's a very small percentage. I don't want it. I don't want that either. Boo! I'm gonna kill you just because I can. Because I'm mad at you. All right, let's take Polaroid, move on to the next floor. Why did my stats go down? Did I gain a heart? Maybe it just when I go into the next room. Yeah, okay. It resets at the end of the floor, and then it starts up at the beginning of the next one. Okay. So that was our horrible Babylon effect that I was confused about. Let us go... Yeah, we'll just go straight towards the boss. Why not? These individuals, very small percentage of the population, very hard to identify, although I think there are genetic tests now to test for it. And then testing whether or not people are able to actually see extra colors is also difficult. The reason being, the rest of us can't verify whether or not they're telling the truth, right? Because it's not like you and I could say oh, they're lying that they can see extra colors. How would I know? I can't see them. How can I prove or disprove their ability to see those extra colors? It's a very tricky, difficult situation. Turns out some people have actually developed a test for this. And what it is, oh my God, we're so huge, is essentially they've created swatches very, very meticulously based on, using really powerful technologies. So essentially, we can create a computer that can see more colors than we can, right? We can create a computer that can see 350 nanometers, 351 nanometers, 352 nanometers. You see where I'm going with this, right? Yeah, we'll reroll that. Black Candle! It's one of the best! Curse immunity. Oh, we can see again. I'm so happy. And so you test people on whether they can tell the differences between these swatches that, for you and I, these swatches would look like 4 brown pieces of cloth. I cannot tell the difference. Hey, there's our evil eye. So it is working. It just doesn't seem to work all the time. Interesting. I'd like to get a charge before we go fight our boss, if we can. I guess we don't have to get it ahead of time now that I think about it, because we can always come back out if we need to earn another charge, because our devil deal will always be open. So let's just actually go in and do the fight. Oh, there's battery. Never mind. Problem solved. So where was I going with all this nonsense? Yeah, people who can see 4. They've done these tests. They've seen whether or not people can actually see these things. And there's this episode of Radiolab that, if you guys are interested in this stuff, it's a podcast, Radiolab. You should go check it out. It's from a couple years ago. It's called Colors. I would strongly suggest you go download and listen to that podcast. Really, really interesting if you like the stuff that I've been talking about here. Now, They did this test on Radiolab. They tested it with 2 people. One woman who claims to be a tetrachromat. And I believe she is. I think like genetically, it's suggested that they know she is. And what's our damage up with the synth oil? Plus 1.3 and a plus 5.25 range up. Pretty good. Pretty good. All right, let's check all these. Doot. We didn't even need the charge. Who do I think I am? So they did this test with this woman and also with a man who is not a tetrachromat, at least not as far as they could tell. And you know, like I said earlier, males are highly unlikely to be tetrachromats because of the not having a second X chromosome, because essentially getting a tetrachromacy would essentially suggest that both of your chromosomes have 2 different sets of cones, and therefore that's why you're able to have 4 unique sets of cones. Anyway, so they had this man dude as well, and both of them were able to see the differences between these different sets of swatches. They were able to accurately detect these minute differences that the rest of the population can't tell. How does that make any sense? All right, I'm just waiting for him to pop up because Polly, you're pissing me off. Well, essentially, the theory is, and this brings in some personal differences. The career of the man who took this test, the male, he's also gender identifies as a male or as a man. So he is an artist for a living. You know, art requires you to have a very discerning eye when it comes to color. And so it's highly likely that his areas of his brain that he uses the most and thus are the biggest, strongest, best are in that area that have to do with detecting color. So he's essentially given himself the ability to detect the differences between these colors essentially just as well. Let's go ahead and... Oh, Infestation 2? You shouldn't have. Let's go ahead and blow that up. Let's go ahead and blow that up. Give me Cricket's head. Okay. What about you? Any good stuff? No. All right, that's fine. Got our Joker card still. This is great. So it seems like whatever benefit you may be able to get from having 4 cones can also be completely offset just through practice, through using your color vision frequently, often, you know, well, training it essentially. And as a result, I am so shocked that we have not seen Krampus yet. I mean, this is blowing my mind, honestly. We are going to re-roll Headless Baby into Guppy's Tail. Yeah, I'm cool with that. And let's drop the left hand now. I already have gotten pretty much everything I could possibly want to get out of that. Oh, I'm holding the wrong button. There we go. Give me the Joker card. We'll go up to the next floor. I want to see, does it set our devil chance? Okay, now our devil chance is set to minus 100%. It's set to 0 because we're on the cathedral. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, we're heading up that way. We'll probably go to our curse room, though, because we can. So I'd like to get a couple more hearts before checking our devil deal. Or at least a reroll. That's true. So yeah, I can play you a bit. Color blindness. So, okay. So, to put a little bow on all of that, like I said before, you can have... do I take it? Because if I take it and I go to Joker and it's Krampus, I've now sacked myself with a heart, and I don't want a heart. I'd rather just trade away a bunch of spirit hearts, honestly, if I'm going to get something. You know? We got plenty of lives. I think we're fine. Give me something good. You are the worst. You are the devil. Essentially what I'm trying to say here is that a lot of these types of things, while they may seem sort of genetically determined, have a lot of room for growth. All right, you know what? I'm going to take this because I want to see exactly how this affects my damage. So this is going to give us a huge damage down, but a huge tears up. So I want to see what this is like. So let's do that. Minus 1.15, minus 2 on our tier rate. Got a speed up as well. So overall, it should be technically a higher damage that we're doing now. So that's good to know. Let's go ahead and blow this guy up because we can. Fill up our monies again. And let's move on with the rest of the floor. And like I said, I'm not going to pick up... Oh, wait. Oh, I got... what's that thing called? Fungi. I got the fungi upgrade, and that gave me a heart. Dang. I didn't want that. Well, now, then we will take the HP up. Let's go see what our... of course, it's Krampus. I mean, since we have one heart up, I might as well take them both, is what I was thinking. Oh, but I should have had a reroll. Oh, I'm a dumb... Oh, I can hurt myself. I can hurt myself. I have Nun's Habit. We're good. Okay. Really? That's what you're going to give me? Thanks, game. That was super cool, you. That's like the super coolest thing you could ever possibly done. You're the coolest in the world. Okay. So... your brain is much like a muscle. It works much like a muscle. The more you use certain abilities, the better you get at those things. So, if you want color vision that is like someone who has 4 cones, you need to just use your color vision a lot. You need to practice being able to see the differences between minute different colors, all right? The different things. You know, that's what artists do as their kind of profession. But if that's not up your alley, what you do on a regular basis, the thing that you spend your time doing, the thing you do for work, the thing you put your passion into, that's what your brain's going to get better at doing, okay? On the flip side of that, if you don't use your brain for anything that kind of is, you know, say like worthwhile at all, like, you know, you need to do something that is of value to you, something that is of value to others as well, probably, if you want to be good at it. If you don't spend your cognitive resources on that stuff, you're not going to get better at that stuff. The brain essentially gets better at what you train it to get better at. That being said, you can't just overcome color blindness. There are certain things within there that you just can't fix in that way. Some of it is physical in nature. Oh, I thought that was supposed to give us an item. All right, what of these do I want? I will take Pupula Duplex. I like the wide shot. Doesn't do anything to our stats, but it gives us a bigger hitbox. That's cool. I'll reroll the rest. We got Mini Mush, we got Pay to Play, we got Cane to the Right. We're going to save those for a reroll. Our boss is that way. Our secret room is over here. So I'm going to go 1 for our secret room, and then we'll go to our boss. All right, well, we're coming down to the end here of this episode, so I'm not going to be able to talk about the other things, so I'll probably talk about them in the next episode. But since we've been talking about the rest of these things, I'll just go ahead and bring up some more. Like it. So another thing that was mentioned in the question about disabilities was about deafness. Operates very similarly to color blindness in the way that there are multiple different places in which you can have damage that cause you to be deaf. You can have damage of the inner ear. So the way that we transfer sound from the outside world, it's a very complex one. It's very interesting too. You have your eardrum, which many of you are aware of. That is a thin membrane of skin, okay? That is connected to 3 little bones in the inner ear. And those bones, essentially, when air goes across air, which is sound is essentially just compressed air, when that presses against your eardrum, it moves those 3 little bones that are kind of shaped like a lever. Actually, this is funny. This week we're going to have some episodes of Scrap Mechanic going out. And I just realized that the technique that I came up with in order to try and make things move straight, and you'll see that in the episode of Scrap Mechanic if you watch the main channel, that's how your inner ear works, is you have this membrane, your eardrum, the tympanic membrane. It's connected to those 3 bones, and sorry, I got to turn down it got really loud all of a sudden. And those kind of move back and forth on this other membrane that is connected to your cochlea, which is on the inner part of your ear, that has a fluid-filled area, substrate, that moves back and forth, and that's what actually allows you to hear sound. So you have a medium of air moving against a solid medium of those bones that then moves into a liquid medium that then transmits along these little hairs that then ultimately lead to much the same experience as with our eyes, where that gets converted into the language of brain, just the neurochemical signals. Now, you can have damage at any one of those areas. You could have damage to your tympanic membrane, your eardrum, making it difficult for your bones to transmit sound. You could have damage in the inner ear bones, which would make it impossible for you to transmit sound because you need that to connect to the cochlea. You could have damage in your cochlea that makes it so that the fluid-filled cavern doesn't properly work, and thus you don't transmit sound well. You could have damage to the temporal lobes of your brain, which are the areas that process sound. As a result, treating deafness, say, cannot be treated in only one area. It has to be thought of about where the deafness comes from. Is it an error of the tympanic membrane? Okay, so we give you a surgery of some sort to fix your tympanic membrane. Is it an error of the bones? Okay, well, in the future, maybe we can 3D print you some bones and give you some kind of a transplant that'll allow you to properly transmit that way. Is it damage of the cochlea? We have these things called cochlear implants, which essentially are like a little metal rod that gets essentially drilled into your cochlea and then is attached to a hearing aid device that will then transmit that information in there. It's essentially like having a bionic eye. It's pretty cool, but for your ear. And then if there's damage to the brain, that's a much harder thing to treat. Fixing errors of the brain is a very difficult thing for us to do at this moment, but we're learning more and more with things like stem cell research and other kinds of things that can allow us to do that. Okay, time to end the lecture here. It's been a long episode. Hopefully that stuff was really interesting to you guys. Thank you for asking the questions down below. I really enjoyed talking about this. So what we talked about Freud and color blindness and deafness and disability in general, specifically having to do with perception, because that's kind of my area of expertise. When it comes to other kinds of disabilities, you know, I know a little bit because I know about human development. Anyway, let's pop on out of this episode. Thank you guys all for watching. I'm really glad that you guys enjoy me rambling about psychology and other types of stuff because I enjoy talking about it. But with that, thank you all for watching. If you liked it yourself, please be sure to give this video a like, a favorite, and subscribe to the channel. Leave me your questions down below. And with that, I have been Price, and I will see y'all next time.